Hey guys, this is Bradley Benner with Lead Gadget and the ATM. Today is October 6th, 2016, 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Looks like we got a couple questions on the event page. I'll go ahead and answer those. Guys, if you have any questions, post them now, because otherwise this is going to be a really short webinar. Don't see a whole lot of questions. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Give me 1 second. Make sure I don't have anything showing that shouldn't be showing. Got so many projects open right now. Okay, I think we're good. I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see better. All right, so the first question from Paramjeet says, does Schema really help in faster indexing and better rankings? Personally, I've not seen any difference in ranking and indexing after testing Schema for the last few weeks. I don't know about indexing, Paramjeet. I don't think that would have any effect on indexing. It should help with rankings somewhat. Let me rephrase that. Mainly for local. I'm not familiar with using Schema for pretty much anything other than local. So I don't know, or, I've used it for video objects too, because I do a lot of video marketing stuff. But other than, that, I'm not sure. But for local stuff, if it's done correctly, yes, it should help. It's not going to make, a huge boost. But if you've got the name, address, phone number, like local business data markup done correctly. Now, if you're using it for like spam purposes, then I don't know if that will be as effective. But here's where it should be more effective. If you have a real bona fide business that you're building sites for example, and you put the local business markup somewhere on the page, which has their actual address, name, address, and phone number, instead of like, swapping details out just so that you can get structured data on the page. So like if you're building a national site and you're using local modifiers, right? So you're targeting a keyword plus a city name for each post on the site, and there's 30,000 posts, and you're using structured data, but you're swapping out like the city details, and you're leaving, you're putting a short code in for the city so that it's the correct city in the structured data for each post, for example, but you're leaving out like a street address. Then it's not really going to be as effective, because what are you doing other than just injecting structured data into the page that's not legitimate structured data? In other words, it's not pointing to a real bona fide business that can be a verified or validated entity, right? So I don't think that would help much. I haven't done a whole lot of testing with that because I really don't see the benefit of it. However, I probably should test that. But if you have a real business, like for example, if you're building a local lead gen site or a regional lead gen site for a contractor that covers 2 or 3 county area, and you just list their structured their business data in the or their NAP in the structured data, so local business schema markup, and you put their real NAP, name, address, and phone number in that data, then when you build out the site, there could be several hundred or several thousand pages or posts on the site, all with structured data pointing to the bona fide business, the real genuine business that can be a validated entity. Most likely that entity is going to have a Google My Business locations page anyways. And so you can actually link to that, which is cool, because if you use the structured data short code builder, that you can link to the actual maps URL for it and everything, and that would be powerful. I haven't done a lot of that. In fact, I just built one of those sites this morning because I'm doing another case study project for Semantic Mastery, and I want to it's a local case study, so I'm going to use the ATM to build out. So I actually just started testing that this morning. I built the site. It hasn't even been cleaned up yet. I've got to clean that up after this webinar. And then I will be monitoring the results of that too. But that you should see a boost from that. If you're pointing to a real business with real data, you should see a boost from that, because that's how it works. But structured data in itself can be spammed just like anything else. And typically it doesn't work near as well if you're just using it for spam purposes. And I've actually recently, there is such a thing as structured data spam, and you can actually get a manual action for that. If you're familiar with Search Console or Webmaster Tools, if you have sites submitted there, a lot of you do not for ATM sites. I get that, but I'm saying even for like real money sites, like local business sites, if you try to spam the structured data on those sites, you can get a manual penalty from that, and it'll be a structured data spam or a rich snippet spam message in Search Console. And had that started to come up more often recently. So Google's cracking down on people using structured data specifically, just for spamming purposes. So that's why I'm hesitant to use it unless I have a real business that I can plug details in for. Okay. So it's just going to require testing, guys. I mean, I can't do all the testing for you, so I don't even have the time neither. But really, the only type that I'm using thus far, and I don't really have any data at this point yet, is just the NAP local business data with a real business. I have tested it just a few sites. I haven't done real extensive testing, but I have tested using just the structured data with swapping out the city. Using a short code in the city part so that it swaps that out, but I haven't seen any boost from that at all. None. So I would just be cautious if you've got, if you're using structured data stuff, try to make it as real as possible. Or else maybe, I mean, you can always test. Worst that can happen is you lose a domain over it. But, personally, I have found that it's not really all that effective unless you're using real data. So hopefully that makes sense. The next question is, for expired domains, is it okay to install WordPress en route and then copy paste the old archived content to it? Sure, Paramjeet, why not? But my question to you is, why would you go through the trouble of copying and pasting? There are if you're going to rebuild old content, you might as well just download the old content as HTML files and just upload them directly to the server. There's really no need for WordPress unless you plan on continuing to publish to that root domain site. But there's a service that I use called Blue Chip Backlinks, which is a domain crawler, which allows you to pick up, you can find expired domains or drop domains and stuff like that. And it has a Wayback builder. So it's an archive.org or Wayback Machine downloader. It will download the HTML files. So are essentially copies or snapshots of the site, the old site. And then you can just you download it as a zip file, and then you can unpack the zip file and then upload the individual pages as HTML pages to your server. And it's a hell of a lot quicker that way than copying and paste. Have to install WordPress and then go copy and paste and format it and all that stuff. I think that's just a lot of additional work that's unnecessary. Let's see if I can find. Terry Kyle has Wayback downloader. That's got to be it. He has Blue Chip Backlinks has that as a function inside of it. I wonder if this is it. The Wayback downloader. This is another one. Just find one that you like. How much does this one cost? The more websites you purchase. Oh, this is 15. So I guess this time this charges per site downloaded. But there's another one. Wayback Rebuilder right here. This is the one that I was talking about. Terry Kyle. So Terry Kyle has the Blue Chip Backlinks, and he has this built into Blue Chip Backlinks, but he knows that some people don't need Blue Chip Backlinks. They don't need a domain crawler. They just want the Wayback downloader or rebuilder, Wayback Rebuilder. So he created a separate tool from this. And so now you can purchase this alone. How much is it? $27 a month. So it's $27 a month, but I think you get unlimited. You can, basically download it, unlimited archive files from other domains. So that's what I would do personally. I mean, if you want to install WordPress and copy and paste, you certainly can, but I'm all about efficiency. $27 a month is a small price to pay if you're going to be doing that often, to be able to just download the all the pages and posts from old sites as HTML files, and you unpack them, upload them to your server, and that's it. You're done. So it's a hell of a lot easier. And then you can always, if you need them for backlink purposes, you can always just go in and edit the HTML file for the page and hack your own links into the pages. Okay, so that's what I would do. It's a hell of a lot more efficient that way. What site? Stephen, hi, Stephen. What site is that you mentioned? If you're talking about the archive.org, the Wayback Machine, archive.org is, if you go to archive.org, it's what's called the Wayback Machine. That's this here. All right. So like if you type in, if you paste a URL in here from an expired site or any site really, if they're if they have snapshots of it, for example, let's look at let's go look at the Lead Gadget site. Let's do that real quick. Paste that in, hit enter. Now, if they have records of it, they're going to show historical, and it goes way all the way back to 1996, so 20 years. And you can just click on the year, for example, like let's go back to 2015. We'll see the progression of the site this way. Let's look at May 2. And this is what the site looks like. Of course, this sometimes when the archive or the Wayback Machine snapshot sites, it loses the CSS file and stuff like that. That happens. It's not perfect, but it's better than not having one at all. Let's see if we can find a better version of it. So here we go. This is looks like it's still loading. Okay, so this is a version of the site from let's see, what date is that? August 2015. This was a snapshot of the site from August 2015. Some of the images are broken. That happens, but you know, from here, if you want to download it, you need some sort of service that will allow you to do that, unless you just go and literally click on page by page and then copy and paste, which is, to me, you know, way too much work. So that's where something like the Wayback Rebuilder comes into place. And guys, that's here. I'll post the URL on the page, but that's waybackrebuilder.com. Let's see, archive.org is the first one. Spell it correctly. And here is the Wayback Rebuilder. All right. So yeah, so that's, I mean, that's it. That's what I do for like for link building domains. Like, I don't build private blog network sites anymore because that requires too much work. Building a blog, adding posts, adding content, all that crap. Now, whenever I'm buying, you know, domains for backlinking purposes, I have blue chip backlinks, so it has the Wayback Rebuilder built into it, and I just download the archive.org files for the expired domains, and then I just upload them to the server and unpack the zip file, and then I just go in and edit the HTML, usually the home page, or if it's an inner page that had most of the, you know, had most of the power on one of the inner pages, then I'll hack my link into one of the inner pages, and that's it. And that way I can find, you know, relevant domains that were topically relevant. They had similar content on them, or like, you know, for example, I could find plumbing sites and then link from those plumbing sites to my plumber site or my client's plumber site or whatever. And that way they're 100% relevant, and I only have to pay $10 or $12 for the registration of the old domain, the drop domain. And I don't even need to do the content anymore because of these. Now, sometimes you'll get the download that you, or excuse me, the files that you download will be missing image files. So it's up to you if you want to go in and like put in new images and that kind of stuff. I don't. I just literally, I don't do a whole lot of linking direct to my money site. Like, I'll link to a buffer site first, like an IFTTT network property or a social media site or something like that, so that if Google ever came and did a manual backlink review, they're not going to see like a bunch of broken sites pointing to my domain. But it's good because I can get the old domains indexed typically very quickly because it's the old content on the site and it's topically relevant. And so it seems to work really, really well. So again, like I said, and sometimes the site that you try to download won't have any Wayback data. And it could have been because they had some sort of robots.txt or something on the site that blocked the Wayback Machine from being able to take snapshots. So you just got to check before purchasing a domain to see if they have, you know, any Wayback files to download. Okay. Sometimes you can't do it. Sometimes you can, but you know, it's really efficient when they do, because you don't have to worry about creating content and installing WordPress and all that other stuff that typically takes a lot of time. I can set up what I call these private link network sites, or PLN sites, instead of PBN sites, because they're not blogs. They're just link network sites. So I can rebuild them in literally about 15 or 20 minutes. as opposed to building a private blog network site would take me closer to an hour and a half to install WordPress, add content, you know, all that kind of stuff. So these are a hell of a lot more efficient in my opinion. Okay, next is Terry. I am promoting a new mobile sports app that will launch toward the end of the month. What do you suggest will be the best way to use Lead Gadget to get people to install the app? That's a good question. Terry, I don't know because it's not something I've done. I would probably look for sports app keywords. You know, I would probably look for, and by the way, use Google Trends for that. You know, I use Google Trends for everything. It's especially now that Google stopped showing search data. I mean, I don't really care about search volume anyways. I never have. I never really cared about that. I just wanted to know which keywords are actually people are actually searching for, not necessarily the volume, especially because for local volume metrics don't really count all that much because they're not very accurate anyways. But Google Trends is probably a great place. So I would say something like sports app. And I don't know this industry, so I might have to, and this is worldwide, by the way. If you're doing worldwide, then leave it that way. But let me get back to where I was. If it's United States, you can change your targeting, your geographic targeting here. So I always just go to US because I don't do anything outside of the US. So if we switch it up, look at that. I wonder what that was. There was a huge spike on that data. I wonder what that was from. All right, so these will give you some various terms, and this was just one term to start with. Sports app, come on. Here's the rising tab and the top tab. Rising tab is going to show you key related search phrases based upon your seed term. In this case, your seed term is sports app, that have had a significant increase in search interest in the last, 90 days or something like that. I don't know what the time frame is that they use to determine a rising query, but you can see that they'll list up to 25 additional keyword phrases that are related to the seed term, in this case, sports app. And then if you click on the top tab, this is going to show you the top 25 terms related to the seed term over that has historical data, which historical data means 10 years worth of data or more or whatever. Right now we've got it showing us 5 years, so 5 years worth of data. All right, so that means these are the top related terms to sports app over the last 5 years. If you look at rising, it's going to show the top related search queries recently. Okay, and so oftentimes you'll see different different keywords between top and rising. And so rising is a great one to target. That's why it's called trends, because you can spot trends this way, right? So I would just start there. And as you go in it, you could find other apps maybe and target other apps as part of I don't know about as far as the local modifier, if you'd be targeting, sports app plus city or what. I don't know how many people would be searching for that, but you're bound to, if you build, enough sites, you're bound to get some traffic from them. So I would just go through and start with something like that. Since I don't know this industry, I don't know what the best terms are to start with for seed terms, but just start plugging seed terms in that and start, just identifying opportunities that you can use to market your product, your app. Okay. Also, what's interesting I like about this tool is if you're targeting a national build, it really doesn't make a difference. But if you do local builds or statewide builds or even regional builds, I like using trends because it will show me where the most search interest is based on geography. Okay. So you can see right now we've got it set at sub-region, but if we go to metro, that's going to go to a city or a metro area. And then if you go to city, that'll go directly to just a city level, and it'll show you where the top searched, in this case, it's sports app. What are the cities search interest for that particular keyword? And so if you're doing local type builds, this is a good way to determine where the most search interest is based on geography so that you can target those areas first. Does that make sense? Hopefully you guys get that. Great tool. I love this tool. Let me close some of these down. Okay, cool. Steven, hopefully you got the websites that you were asking about. All right, guys. Well, I don't see any other questions. If you got any other questions, post them now. So I'm going to wrap it up. If not, I got to get back to work. I'm still having a hell of a time getting some of my sites indexed, though. I can tell you that. I've been dealing with that for months now. It's crazy. I don't get it. I really don't. I don't understand what the problem is. I found a plugin that was causing issues. I mentioned that a few weeks ago. So I just stopped using that plugin, but I'm still just having a hell of a time getting sites to index. It's not all of them. It's hit or miss. It's kind of random. Some sites will index really well. A lot of sites aren't, though. I can tell you that. I'm having issues with getting sites indexed, and I'm not even really building on subdomains so much anymore, because I found that, you know, more than just a couple subdomains. It used to work great, but it seems now that after just 2 subdomains or so, I'm not seeing additional subdomains index all that well. So I'm really just building on the root now, and occasionally 1 or maybe 2 subdomains, depending. But I'm just having a hell of a time getting sites to index. They index, but they take like months for them to really start to index. And even, you know, submitting the URLs to indexers, it's I just don't understand. Google's algorithm's getting tighter, I guess, you know, but it is what it is. That's why we just keep blasting away, trying to make it work. So, all right, guys. Well, I don't see any other questions, so appreciate the ones that were here. We'll see you guys in a couple weeks. Let me know if you need anything. Thanks.